Hey folks! So I'm doing some sort of like members only video posting and community thing through YouTube, and essentially I've got to post a couple of long form videos, goodness gracious, as well as some members only posts to just members. That's why it's members only there, Thro. And as you can see behind me, I am working on a building here, and it's actually for my next upcoming video, which is kind of like episode 2 of Minecraft Create Nations with R's in it, I guess, is kind of how I put that. Anyways. So I want to build this building here, and I tried doing something with the roof, and it didn't turn out pretty good. But I want to try and build this building up and just kind of chit chat with you guys about life and liberty, the pursuit of happiness, all that sort of stuff. What's going on? Just kind of like deep thoughts with Thro, like a impromptu podcast or something like that. Anyways, let's build some stuff. I guess I'm gonna stop rambling. Hey everybody, complete transparency here. I recorded all of this footage 5 days ago. I just have been not in the headspace for creative work at all. And honestly, this building, I hate it. I'm done with it at this point, and for the most part, I absolutely hate it. So I built one right next to it that is essentially the same building. It's just 2 blocks not as wide. So that one I like a lot more. I'm going to use that one probably for the video, whenever the heck that finally goes down. But I wanted to talk to you all now that, you know, I've gone through that little bit of creative block about like how my creative headspace works, right? And again, I don't know if I'm going to be making this into a series at some point, or, you know, like Deep Thoughts with Thro or whatever, but we'll see if this sticks. I'm going to keep it in members only for a while, and then I'll release it sometime towards the middle of December to the public. But anyways, let's get into the topic. Now, I don't really know how long this is going to be. I have like 6 words scribbled down for notes, so we're just going to go through whatever the heck I wrote down, and I'm kind of just going to word vomit at you all. So you can have the building on in the background. This is kind of, like I said, kind of a podcasty sort of thing. I'm just going to yap at you while I build some stuff, and yeah, here we go. So when I'm starting a creative project, a new build, or, you know, some sort of machine or something for a tutorial, etc., what I usually like to do first is, you know, I come up with the lore or the reason that the build exists, right? And most of the time, the lore, quote unquote, is just like it makes sense for it to be there, right? So if I'm building a city, I need an inn. It just makes sense for a city to have an inn. So, you know, that's why it needs to be there. But then beyond that, I normally come up with, you know, the innkeeper's name, the name of the inn, like the reason the innkeeper is doing things. Do they have a family? Is it like a partnership? Do they live there? Do they need a space to stay in the building, etc., etc.? You know, what kind of inn is it? Is it just a place where there's beds? Is there also food, etc.? So, you know, I do some lore building on the thing that I'm going to be building, more or less. So for the whole Hobbit area, for example, you know, I wanted to be a Hobbit, so I needed a Hobbit hole. So obviously Hobbit hole has that like arch thing where the grass is growing on top of it, and then the round door, round windows potentially, and then gardens all over the place. And that was my basis for the Hobbit hole area, was just the actual facade itself, the front facade in my brain, and then gardens all over the place. Everything else, I kind of just stuck it there because I either needed an episode to go out or I needed a thing, right? I needed a place for my horses. And I was like, well, Hobbit hole lore, the horses would be in a quote unquote Hobbit hole like stable, right? So it's dug into the hill. It's got that same arch, and, you know, it's just a normal stable, but Hobbit hole looking. And then I was like, well, I have some other farm animals that would make sense because I have a farm, so let's make a little Hobbit hole area for them as well, with the arch and the grass growing on top and all that sort of stuff. So that's just kind of like where those builds came from for lore wise, right? And then the dock, it kind of needed to be there because, you know, I'm at the end of this pond, which is connected to a huge river, and we'll get into this in the future, but that's connected to these massive oceans. Just, you know, there's one to the right and one to the left when you're going up the river. I'm not sure the cardinal directions. I think the one to the left is the west. So there's one to the east and one to the west, right, as you're going up the river. And I needed a dock because at some point we'll be able to access other places via the oceans or the river, etc. So I needed those, and then another portal. I was like, it doesn't have anything to do with hobbits at all. I don't want to just hide it somewhere, because that is not great. It's just bad design. Not to say that you can't hide your nether portals if you want to. That's totally fine. Just it doesn't fit for the area, right? To have this random portal to hell sitting in my hobbit hole or in the basement, even though I don't have a basement, because hobbits don't have basements. Anyways, so I was like, oh, well, let's build some lore for the portal. And honestly, I've been playing a lot of World of Warcraft lately, and the the Outland portal or whatever it is, I was just super inspiration. I was like, yeah, just big old stone thing, but I want mine dilapidated and make it look like it's been there for a super duper long time. And, just to help with that thought, let's put some cairns or burial mounds or whatever you call them around it. And yeah, that's where the portal came from, right? And the mill that has water wheels on it, because I've gotten yelled at by a couple of people for calling it a water mill. I just needed a place. I needed food, right? And I had the kitchen in the hobbit hole, so it makes sense to use the kitchen to do food processing stuff. But I needed another building, right? And in the Lord of the Rings, and as well as Thro, Lord of the Rings Online, there is the water mill building, the water wheel mill building, right? And I was like, we'll take inspiration from that. It'll be another full episode. It'll be great. So like the lore is really the biggest piece when I'm starting a new build. And then after that, after the lore, we go into research, right? So I've talked about a couple things, like I wanted a hobbit hole. So I'm going to research hobbit holes. So I used, scenes from the Lord of the Rings. I used excerpts from the books on how it should look. Obviously, it is not perfect. It's still Minecrafty, but it works. Lord of the Rings Online, like I said before, like that I can actually walk around in. It's a free-to-play game. I can boot it up whenever and get inspiration from there. So I'll do research, I'll Google image search, etc., and just, find some other hobbit holes. I gain inspiration from other creators, obviously. I think almost all of us do. And on that note, I'm usually not a person that just thinks, I'm not, don't hit me. I'm not an artist, right? I'm good at taking inspiration from something and putting my own twist on it, okay? Prime example, Mr. Beardstone did a beautiful video, and it's a gorgeous build for a faculty, for a factory. Sorry, a little bit of work is digging in there. For this factory, huge, how many machines can I put in this one factory within 8 hours or whatever it was? And I was like, I looked at it and I was like, I need to do that. I need to make this, right? And there's only so many floor plan designs you can have for that kind of idea. So it was my own twist on what he did, and I feel like that is commonplace, I would say, but but at the same time, I obviously try not to copy people, right? I try to put my own spin on things. There's only so many ways you can make a medieval house, too. You know what I mean? In Minecraft, you can put your own spins on it and stuff, but there's only so many block palettes that work, so many roof designs, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm. Anyways, let's move on. So after I do some research, I'll usually take some notes. Notes usually happen kind of at the same time as research, where I have lore and, I'm doing research and Google image. I'll look at Lego builds and all that sort of stuff and figure out how I want this certain build to look. And then I'll take notes on the lore that I'm coming up with while I'm researching, that's a cool design for a blacksmith that has, a water trough on the side of it, and then it's got a water trough, and maybe there should be a stable right next to it, or a person who does horseshoeing, which I can't remember their profession is, right next to it, or that sort of thing. And I'll write some notes down of for the future, put a horse stable right next to this. So make some notes on. I usually use paper. I have a not to say I'm a huge Mr. Beardstone fan or anything, but I have a big old Danger Mr. Beardstone notebook. You can find it on his website. I think it's mrbeardstone.com. Don't quote me on that. Anyways, if I remember, I'll put the link in the description. But yeah, I'll write notes in there. I also use Google Drive, and I just keep notes of whatever I can while I'm doing the research. And one of the other places that I love taking notes is on Canva. And I usually just open up, it's a free website. I just open up like a blank whiteboard, I think is what it's called on Canva. I'm relatively new to Canva. My Mrs. Thro is incredible at it, and I need her to give me some pointers. So anyways, I'll open up like a blank whiteboard, and I'll just throw a bunch of images that I find on there. I think they're called like mood boards, right? Where you just like throw ideas of like, ooh, this is kind of how I would like this to look. You know, whether it's like the color palette or a general shape, or, you know, I like this shape on this building and this shape on this building. Let's see if I can amalgamize the two of them with that color palette and see how it works, right? So I use Canva, I use the whiteboard. And, you know, if you're doing Google image search, you can just right click and copy on the image search itself, or the image itself, right? And then just paste it right into Canva. Oh, sorry, I just broke something. I got to play with things while I'm recording, or I'll get too fidgety. Anyways. So yeah, Canva is a great tool. There's probably some other good ones out there. If you have any suggestions, hey, leave it in the description. That would be super helpful. I'd love to know what other tools are out there for, you know, that kind of mood boarding, that sort of thing. That'd be super great. Now, something that I want to talk to y'all about, because I've been having such a struggle with this for like the last 3 weeks, is my creative flow, which just has not existed for 3 weeks. And I feel really bad about it, because I want to put out good content for y'all. And I want to build cool things, and I want to show you guys my best. But at the same time, like if it's not there, it's not there. It was kind of nice with the intro to Ars Nouveau episode that just went out a little while ago, where I didn't really need that creative flow. It was just kind of an introduction into a new mod that I haven't played before. So I was kind of learning things and just showing them off. I wasn't really building anything. I didn't really need any creativity. It was really nice. But now I'm in the creative stage where I need a building done, and I just cannot for the life of me, and it's the one you're watching right now, I just cannot for the life of me build this friggin' thing. It has been taking me, like I said, I started building that 5 days ago, and it has morphed, and I rebuilt it literally last night. I rebuilt the whole thing because somehow my creative flow came back. Like, I had an extra week. Usually it takes me 2 weeks to create an episode, right? And I had an extra week. So I had almost 3 weeks to create an episode about, you know, a building that I would be doing a lot of my magic stuff in. And the entire first week, I didn't have anything in my brain. There was no creativity up there. I don't know if I was going, or am still going back into, like, I struggle with depression, and it comes in waves, right? I don't know if I am or was going back into that, and I'm maybe now coming back out, or what's going on. But oh my gosh, I just could not come up with anything creatively. And, you know, I want to say this twofold. Number one is a plea for help, where it's like, what do you do to help you get back into a creative flow? Normally, if I'm not feeling the creative flow, I kind of just either take a break and do something else for a little bit. I have a lot of hobbies, and I'm also a dad and a husband, so I have a lot to do, you know, or I will just start doing the thing that I'm supposed to be doing, and it will eventually just come to me, right? And I won't be able to stop. And I do most of my building and recording and editing at night. So if I have editing to do in the background, I can just do that and kind of like get the creative flow block over with for an evening, get all my editing up to par, and then go from there. Or I will literally just start doing the thing that I need to do, and I'll just continue to go. And like I said, I do this at night, so when that becomes a problem is when I start doing it, and then it's like 11:30 or midnight, and I need to get up at 7 the next morning and go to work. That's usually an issue, but at least it's happening, right? That's pretty good. But like, my creative flow has been gone with all of my hobbies. So that's an issue. That's been a problem. I play miniature wargaming. I've been playing Warhammer the Old World, and I have an army that I need to get ready for a tournament in December, which is like 2.5 weeks away, I think, at this point. And I have not had the headspace to actually put paint on a model, and it's becoming a problem. It's the December 14th. It's right now the 25th. So this is becoming a bit of an issue. But literally today, the 25th, I finally feel I don't know, like my brain's not in a fog. I'm finally coming out of that creative block for some reason. I don't know what happened or what's going on, but yay, go me. Like maybe I got through whatever issue was holding me down. Who knows? At least the creative flow seems to be there. But for those of you, like, do you just ride the block, the writer's block, essentially? Do you just write it out and be like, all right, I'm going to do literally anything else that makes me happy and just kind of deal with this? Or do you have like some tips or tricks that you have used that help you get out of that creative block? I'd love to hear them, and I'm sure there's other people out there who would love to hear them as well. It would be super, super great. Now, on the topic of creative flows, I feel like there are times throughout the day where my brain just turns on creative mode, whether I am at my PC or sitting in front of minis with a paintbrush or not. Like, and I mean like in the middle of the workday or right when the kids get out of school and they're coming home. Just my brain's like, hey, I got all these ideas to do all the stuff right now. Like, when can we do it? And I'm like, well, not for another 12 hours, so maybe shut up, you know? So it's just, they're so weird, and I wish that I could tap into those times when they happen, but it's always at an inopportune moment. Maybe if I ever go, you know, full time, maybe we won't have this problem. But hey, well, that's down the line, very down the line. Anyways, it's just really interesting to me that happens, and I kind of was thinking about it the other day, where it's actually today. Excuse me, I was thinking about it today. It's 3 p.m. Kids like just got home from school, and my brain was like, I know a great topic for this little podcast episode thing that you wanted to talk about, which is what we're talking about right now. Let's go record it. And I was like, dude, I can't. I can't. I got kids. They're coming home. I got to do the thing. I got to do the dad thing. So, you know, 6 hours later, legit, here we are sitting down and we're recording this. I'm glad it was still there. But I got thinking about it. I was like, hey, I wonder if it's kind of the same deal with, like, some people have this natural cycle to when they get tired and when they, you know, when they're no longer tired. I wish I knew what that was like without coffee. But maybe it's kind of the same thing where you go through these cycles of like creativity's on, creativity's off, creativity's on, creativity's off. And if anybody, I'm not a psychiatrist, I'm not a psychologist, I don't know how any of this works. I barely know how my own brain works, let alone anybody else's. But like, if that's a thing, if anybody wants to, you know, hit me up, shout me out here and tell me what's going on, I'd love to know about it. That sounds super phenomenal. Yeah, I would love to know. I like learning more about my brain parts because I have no idea how it works, and learning anything at this point is really great. Oh, we're 17 minutes into the video already. Oh my gosh, this is insanity. Anyways, the last thing that I really wanted to touch on was breaks, and I feel bad taking breaks from doing videos because I started doing this sometime like 2019 or something like that, and I would make videos for a few months, and then I would just get so burnt out and I would stop, and I would take huge long breaks, and then I would make videos for a few months, and then I would do it again, right? Cyclical pattern of just burnout, and I don't know if it was doing too much or like putting too much pressure on myself or not getting the reward out of it that I was expecting. I'm not really sure, but having the growth that I've been having on this channel, thank you all so much. Thank you. And then as well as, you know, having the creativity, like this is my first bout of creative block that I've had since last year. And yeah, I've been doing this since Halloween last year, the whole create mod stuff. In my first season, so going this long for me on any project is remarkable. I am usually that person who has project ADHD, and I would pick up, a new Warhammer army here, and then a new one over there, and then a new one over there, and then play this video game until almost completion, and then go to this video game, and then play it halfway through, and then blah, 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 bounce, project. And, the create mod stuff is really the only thing that I've been doing for pretty much almost a whole year. Like I took a couple of breaks every now and then because of, vacations or illnesses, etc. But this is really the longest I've been doing YouTube stuff without like a massive break. So I feel bad anytime I'm like, not super feeling it, and I'm like, maybe I can take a month off or something like that. And I'm like, no, you gotta stick through, and it's been really great. But this is the biggest creative block that I've had in a year, and I want to talk about breaks because I really considered it this time, and there was a part of me that was like, if you take a break right now, you're not going to get back into it, and you're going to let down so many people, right? And there was another part of me that was like, I have the best community. I have the best community, and if I took a break, they'd all go, dude, it's cool, don't worry about it. Like, you do you. Come back when you're ready. Heck yeah. And I just, oh man, it's getting me a little emotional. I appreciate you all so much more than I could even possibly put in a 20-minute video, an hour-long video. I thank you, everybody, so much for all your love and support. Seriously. Anyways, breaks. I think breaks at this point, having thought about it for the last 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I think breaks come in many forms, right? One form is stop doing everything. Stop doing absolutely everything and just focus on anything else. Like, I barely watch TV or movies. So a good break for me at some point might be stop doing all my hobby. Stop doing everything that I do down here. Like, I record and do all my stuff in my basement. Stop doing everything that I do down here and just start binging TV shows and movies, right? And that is what I do on my break when I have moments to myself, or just read books, right? Because I do love reading books. And that's, hey, if anybody wants book suggestions, let me know. Huge book fan. I got to talk about it. I just finished Assistant to the Villain, which is a sequel to Apprentice to the, is that right? Assistant to the Villain is the first one. I just finished Apprentice to the Villain, which is the sequel. Oh my gosh, they're both phenomenal. If you're into quirky fantasy stuff, it's really good. A lot of romance, a lot of cool fantasy whatnots. It's just so fun. Anyways, back into it. Like books, I love books. But yeah, I feel like taking a complete and total shutdown break for a month or more is not in the cards right now. Maybe in the future, but thankfully right now, as of today, I'm not feeling it anymore. And talking about it right now into this microphone is just pulling so much weight off of my shoulders. Thank you all again for existing. I appreciate you so much. Anyways, I took a mini break, right? And the mini break that I took was I kind of stopped doing creative stuff because I just didn't have it in me. And I started playing a lot of World of Warcraft with some friends of mine. And it's been great. It's been fantastic. I love that game. I have loved that game for a long time. And that is a game where I play in cycles, right? I'll sub for 3 or 4 months and then I won't touch it again for almost a year. And then I'll, rinse and repeat. And it's great because it scratches that nostalgia itch, and at the same time, there's just constant progression that it just ticking boxes over and over and over, and you need zero creative mindset for it whatsoever. You just spam numbers, walk around, and you're constantly leveling up. It's fantastic for me. It is a fantastic way to take a break. Now, I know there's a lot of people who are very addicted and get very addicted to WoW. It's not something I would suggest for everyone, but if you're one of those people that can control yourself, or etc., I don't want you to burn your whole life on it unless that's what you want to do. I'm not your dad, but it's a good outlet for me, or booting up an old video game that I love so much, like Morrowind. That's another great outlet. You did get down that memory lane, you get progression, and again, there's no creativity. You can just go and do, right? Almost no thinking, hit things with an axe. I do think there's also a good thing. I don't really know what I'm trying to say. There's a good thing in taking a break on what your current creative project to go work on a different creative project. And I mean different, right? If you're playing Minecraft and you're building a city, maybe building a different city isn't really what I'm getting at here, because you're kind of using almost the same juices, right? It might be a different palette and a different build style, but you're still building a city in Minecraft. Maybe try to pick up, I don't know, painting minis or sewing or crocheting or, something that is different. Like I've been playing the piano. I've been teaching myself how to play the piano. Completely different creative juices. I've been having an absolute blast with it. And every single morning I get up and I spend at least 10 minutes on that thing, just jamming keys. I'm a music person. I love playing music. I loved playing music. I loved singing back in the day, and I've been out of it for, golly, 12 years or more, right? And then the kiddos started taking piano lessons, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna teach myself this instrument, and it's been a blast. It's not easy, but it's a completely different creative process, and I feel like I either have spending too much of my creative mindset on that, or that has helped me get out of my creative funk. Only time will tell, right? But I have so many other creative projects to roll back on. I've been really thinking about making like miniature wargaming terrain in different styles. Like I would love to make a house from World of Warcraft, like a human alliance house from World of Warcraft as like a physical piece of terrain for a miniature wargame. I've always wanted to do that, and I just haven't had the time or the wherewithal to actually sit down and get it done. But that might be a good outlet one day of taking a break, right? I have these awesome Minecraft projects that y'all are loving so very, very much, and I take a break and do something else that's creative for a little while, right? But wow, I was not expecting to talk for 25 minutes straight. I don't know why. I was not expecting this to go this far, this long, excuse me. But I hope y'all enjoyed like just a deep dive into Thro's brain before Thro throws it away. I don't know what we should call this. Deep thoughts with Thro, I think, is a great idea. A little too much Throlash, maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Give me some ideas down in the comments of what we should call this little series. And if y'all if y'all want it to keep going, let me know as well. Tell your friends, dude, I got this guy who's talking about random stuff. They might want to listen as well. Anyways, folks, I love y'all so much, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.